Arsenal are getting a lot of their business done early and have now confirmed the re-signing of Tomiyasu to a new contract with the club. Now, despite not playing a lot recently because of his injuries, Tomiyasu is a vital part to the Arsenal setup and has a major role to play for the rest of the season. So let's get into it. So the good news keeps rolling. Obviously, we had the confirmation yesterday that Timber will most likely be back for the Manchester City game, and last week we obviously had the Ben White new contract signing as well. And now we've got Tomiyasu, another player that was expected to sign a new deal, but it's finally been announced and confirmed, and that is brilliant for the club. And now Tomiyasu is another player where I can understand different points of view on him. Now, he hasn't played in the last few months and we've not necessarily missed him, but he did do a massive shift at the start of the season, was honestly one of our better players, getting player of the month near the end of the year. Now, I'm someone that doesn't forget what people do, but I think over years you can't still latch on to something that people did a long time ago. But a couple of months ago in the same season, I think it's perfectly fine to still talk about how good he was. And he really filled in both the left back and right back spot, specifically more the left back spot when we needed it to with the injuries we had. And now we've got Kiwior also doing it. And I know it's maybe harsh on Zinchenko, but I do think that every single player that has come into that position has sort of stepped up this season, giving Zinchenko less game time even when he is fit. And this is without people like Timber even playing, who I still think will probably be a big part of our team in that left back spot rather than the right back spot, even though I know he's played there more in his career. But don't get it wrong, Tomiyasu was doing amazing things at the start of the season, and we should just not slowly forget that, and he completely deserves this new contract. I would just obviously hope he'd stay a bit more fit sometimes, but he's just one of them players that you always need in your squad. He seems like he can come in into left back and right back and even potentially centre back if we needed it to in any given circumstance, and sometimes you just need a player that's going to be happily sit there and wait for his opportunities and hopefully take them when he matters. I've been very impressed by a lot of his gameplay this season. He does a lot of different things, like he even played that overlapping role to Saka in the Champions League, and I think it worked brilliantly. And he's even a bit braver on the ball, going more forward and using his physicality. And we know he's a tall player, we know he's a big physical beast, and he's actually a pretty decent in the air too. He's been very good for Japan, playing in centre back many games. And I think this season now we saw an established team that Arsenal have. It actually works a lot more with these players, and the system seems to work a lot better with him playing in there than certain other players before. And I've seen it mentioned before, and it's definitely true. Mikel Arteta has a affiliation with some players over others. He prefers players, and this is always going to be like it with the elite managers. They just like certain profiles of people and people that work in the team. Tomiyasu is definitely one of them. He started him last season in a potential title side at home to Manchester City when he didn't need to, and obviously Tomiyasu made a mistake in that game, but I think he's learned a lot from that. And even then, since then, Mikel Arteta is a very ruthless manager, but he still continued to play Tomiyasu in games that matter of much importance, such as big Champions League games this season. We've seen him play a lot in them fullback slot, and it seemed like he was very reluctant to play people like Kiwior before, even with Kiwior being a pretty astounding defender. He was not really liking him as much as he liked someone like Tomiyasu to play in that role, and until Tomiyasu actually went out to the Asia Cup and got injured, he started playing Kiwior a little bit more in there. And I think there's this common conception that you only really need 12 or 13 players to actually be good to win a squad, but that's just not how it works. You need a whole team putting together, and people that aren't even playing are very vital to the team's success on and off the pitch, if that's coming on in big games where we need them to, or coming in when there's a certain injuries, and off, because I know people go on about it, but we do have a family atmosphere and a family environment, and we're seeing links to people like Tony completely diminished because apparently the board don't think that he would fit with the squad, and they don't want people with too big of an ego not pulling their weight within the team and being friends and sort of keeping up the good vibes that we have. And these things are very important to football. This is just a very psychological factor. You need this outside of the game. At least if you lose, you're losing together. You'll feel like everyone is trying their best and you're pulling together, and you could eventually achieve something. If everyone's always having a go at each other, or it's always a pretty bad vibes and people don't let things be, then it's going to necessarily not want people to go into work every day. They're not going to work. They are normal human beings. They're not going to want to go to training. They're not going to want to play well. That's just how it works. And not only Tomiyasu, I think, is a brilliant player when he's not playing. It's just off the bench. He seems to always get along with the fans and obviously the crowd, and obviously with the players all seem to love him. There's a lot to say about a lot of players within the squad that do the same. As much as we'll probably let go of El Nene this year, the reason why he stayed at the club so long is because apparently he's a leader back there and they all really trust him. And that is a major thing, even if he's not going to play and he's not on the biggest wages anyway. And you can see this is a major reason why Tomiyasu signed a new deal with Arsenal. They offered him a new deal, not necessarily just for his on-pitch performances. As Arteta said when they signed him, Tommy's attitude and mentality and values are first class. The way he trains with his desire and determination to be the best version of himself every day is admirable. And this just shows Arteta Arteta as a person, I think. We know he's like this. He likes people that are dedicated, determined, and although that your performances on the pitch might not be colossal all the time, you might not be the most influential player in the team, as long as you have shown that improvement and shown that you really understand what it means to be at the club, then he is willing to keep you and willing to train you up. And there's no doubt about it, Tomiyasu has improved heavily as a player in the last few years at Arsenal. I know now we get to see more of him, so maybe that's another reason, and also the defence is much better than when he first joined, but I do think he's improved a lot and he's very understanding of what his roles are and what he needs to do. And I don't think it gets spoken about enough, but him playing left back was an absolute masterstroke by Mikel Arteta and also by the player himself. He deserves immense credit for that. He's a right-footed player, and majority of his career he's played in right back or centre back. He's never really used that left back role ever. The fact that Arsenal put him in there in big games that really mattered and he actually performed really well is a testament to how good he is and how determined he is to make things work. And although I know we all want him to stay a lot more fit, and he's only played around 1,000 minutes this season, which obviously isn't great for players like Ben White, who we know have had a knock and have wanted other games to play, but obviously if Timber's going to be more fit, or at least you hope he's not going to be injured for the whole of next season, he will have some game time where it's okay to be injured, doesn't need to be worried all the time, and hopefully next year all our fullback situations, not that all of them get out injured, so we don't have to keep relying on Ben White, bless him. I want it to be a bit more evenly distributed. And personally, I have a lot of respect for Japanese players and a lot of respect for their national team. Their manager came out for their national team and said that he's allowed Tomiyasu to take this break and take some more time to recover at Arsenal because he believes the player's health is more important, and that is something I can really respect, and not a lot of national team managers would do that. And even hearing Tomiyasu speak in his interviews when he signed his new contract, he said that he dedicates his life to the club and he wants to give the supporters something back after believing and trusting in him, and I just don't understand you could not like this guy. He's probably one of the most likeable guys on the team, and the contract is not a huge one, don't get me. He was on a deal till 2025 and we've moved it to 2026 with another option of a year, and I don't see Tomiyasu necessarily being in the club maybe in the long term into his prime, because he'll probably expect a lot better of himself as well, and there's places where he could go and really flourish as a main player, but right now he is very important to this team, and I'm very happy he signed a new deal. And it really shows that Arteta and Arsenal have turned a leaf on signing players early with new contracts. I know we've done it a lot recently, but I grew up in a time where Arsenal wouldn't, and Arsene Wenger just let people run down their contracts, and then we'd even have to panic sell them a year before their contract went up and get as much money as we can, or they'd just go on a free, and that happened to all our best players over and over again. And this should just be common sense, of course, but at least our team and our club are finally all put in the right direction, and look what can happen when you all understand and want to achieve the same thing. And to me, this is another stepping stone on Arsenal becoming yet another great club and being right at the top of the game again. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about Tomiyasu's new contract, and let me know who you think will be the next person to sign a new deal for the club, because I expect us to do a lot over the summer. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and go and watch my video yesterday where I talk about Timber's potential and pretty much confirmed return in the Manchester City game. Thank you for watching.